What up? It's your boy Sean here, and today we're gonna go through some Gen Z movies and do a good old tier list. Well, I haven't stopped. Well, I kind of did stop. The episodes would just be coming out like they normally did. This episode will be in either October or November. I don't know. Maybe September. I pre-record a bunch of videos ahead. This is my strategy, folks. But no, for real, we're gonna go over some Gen Z movies. These are animated movies, so... Well, almost all of them are animated movies. I just realized I forgot to mark the box for them. Hold on. Alright. Now, I may talk about movies in a row, and there may be movies that I'm like, okay, I gotta do it this, but then I'm gonna talk about the sequel later. If a movie came up to me, I just wrote it how I did it. Okay? That's my whole shtick. Without further ado, let's get started. Toy Story. What are we saying? I like the plot and message. I mean, Woody was a bit of a jerk in that movie, but he did redeem himself by the end. For a good redemption, let's give it an A. Toy Story 2. Now, I always think that Toy Story and Toy Story 2 are like kind of like night and day, because it's about toys getting lost and then another toy. Well, no, hold on. Woody gets kidnapped by a collector and Buzz goes out to save him. Kind of like what Woody did in the first movie. Now that I'm really thinking about it. Oh my golly. You know what? This is getting an S tier. Shrek. Now, I like the Shrek movies. I got a soft spot for them. What can I say? The first Shrek came out the year I was born, so naturally I grew up with the franchise. Heck, they made the fourth movie when I was 9, which is on the list, and I'll talk about that in a second. But let's go through these movies quickly and give my thoughts on a couple of them. Shrek, S. Shrek 2, A. Shrek the Third, B. Shrek Forever After, S. Now, why is Shrek Forever After S and Shrek the Third B? Well, Shrek the Third, I gotta be honest, I really don't care for that one, personally. But it's not a bad movie, that's why it's a B. Shrek Forever After gets an S because, one, it's my favorite Shrek movie they ever made until that fifth one comes out in a couple years. B, it was one of the movies I saw that movie in theaters when I was 9. That's how big it is. So that's why it gets an S. Now that's my favorite Shrek. That's one of my favorite DreamWorks movies. When we get over to Pixar, we already talked about Toy Story 1 and 2, but there's more to Pixar, and a couple more of my favorites are here. So, you know, I like Toy Story 1 and 2, and these ones just add to it. Cars, S tier. One of my personal favorite Pixar movies of all time. Heck, one of my favorite movies of all time, period. Finding Nemo, S. Same thing. I mean, one movie... Okay, I gotta get this camera adjusted. Hold on. I mean, you have one movie about a jerk who learns to come to respect of others, and I love that message. That's why that movie gets a... There we go. That's why that movie gets an S. Finding Nemo makes me cry, man. I just watched it the other day and I still cried. And I'm 23. So, what does that tell you? Alright. Monsters Inc. S tier. Now, I mean, I like that movie, and it does deserve its S tier ranking. Because I feel like those three movies, they teach viewers varied. I'm trying to get my shirt straightened out. This is a cool My Hero shirt. I'll talk more about My Hero in another video. But yeah, those three movies teach life lessons. One's about letting your kid, in no particular, one's about letting your kid grow up and know that you let them explore and do their own thing. Meanwhile, you got Cars, which is about someone who learns not to be arrogant. And Mater's my favorite character, for all of y'all wondering. Monsters Inc. Well, that emotional ending. That ending, though. If anyone's seen the movie, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't, it's on Disney Plus. But if you want to get a DVD like me, just go buy a DVD copy if you want. I'm not you. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, you gotta do." I still can't switch it. Let's see everybody. You gotta do this or that. No, you can really do whatever you want, honestly. All right. Toy Story 3. Now, I told you that Toy Story 3 would pop up here. That ending, though, with all the toys being shipped to Bonnie's house. Yo, I saw that movie in theaters, and that's honestly one of the only times I ever cried at a Pixar movie. Sure, I cried when Nemo got kidnapped, but I'm talking about, like, in the theater, actually feeling that emotion. As for that, Ratatouille. Now, I'll be honest with you, I haven't seen this movie in a long time. And I can't really rate it, but what I remembered, it was a good film. I might go buy it and rewatch it again. Alright. So because I haven't watched it in a while, this is fair. A B tiered. When I see the movie again, I might change my ways. Up. S. Double S. That movie. I mean, it hits you hard in the first 10 minutes of the movie. And after that, oh. If you haven't seen Up, stop this video and go watch it. It is one of my favorite Pixar movies. Like I said, all these are some of my favorite movies that I know Gen Z kids have seen. But along with Cars, Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., and Toy Story films, do yourself a favor and go watch those films right now. I will wait. You back? Alright, let's continue. So what is it with Disney films being some of my favorite films of all time? Because next up we got Lilo and Stitch. S tier. He did not just say that. Yes, I did. Yes, I did just say that. And honestly, it's a good film. One of my favorite childhood films that I really need to rewatch. So, if you saw my Gen Z cartoons video, you may notice I've also ranked the series show also an S. So, if you haven't ever seen Lilo and Stitch or Lilo and Stitch series, just watch that. Heck, all these movies I recommend watching. Despicable Me. S tier. It's a good movie about a reformed supervillain. And I really want to see the sequels. Like, I know Despicable Me 4 just came out, and I've seen Despicable 2 and 3, but it's been a while since I rewatched those films, so I really need a fresh perspective. Alright. Next up, Cars 2. Cars 2, while not as good as the first Cars film, and people say it's one of the worst Pixar films, I'm gonna have to disagree. I'm gonna say it's probably one of the best Pixar films I've ever seen, along with the original Cars and all that. I love spy and superhero shows and cartoons. Basically, ever since I was a kid, like, you know, Ben 10, Bakugan, Danny Phantom, Jake Long, you know, those kinds. And while I'm not a big Bond, Kim Possible, that's a perfect example. Look, it's not gonna get an S rating because I'm saying it's not the best movie ever. There's little flaws, but for what it's worth, I'd say it deserves a B. Now we go to one of my favorite movies. Now we go to a live action movie. I haven't really seen it in a while, but I remember watching a lot. It's called. Do any of y'all know the movie Cheaper by the Dozen? Okay, let me get it good. Okay, do any of y'all remember that movie Cheaper by the Dozen? That's the movie on here. I don't really remember this movie much. I remember there was a frog dying, 12 kids, Steve Martin was in it. But that's really all I remembered. It's been years since I've seen that film. So, because I haven't seen it in a while, I mean, don't get me wrong, I remember liking it, but I need a fresh perspective, you know? So, for that, it's gonna have to get, for now, a C tier. Because I can't remember. I need a fresh perspective first before I see that. Here we come to a trilogy of films I saw recently. Now, My Hero Academia. Well, yeah. Some people know it was inspired by American superhero comics, and American, yeah. And one of them, probably not the biggest inspiration, but I definitely see a character in My Hero being Batman. He's not on here. So, these are the Batman films, the Christian Nolan and Christian Bale. I almost said Ben Affleck. That's later. The Christian Bale movies. I actually saw these movies recently. So, I had to add them to this list, and I'm talking about Gen Z movies. All three of these movies came out in my lifetime. Hey, count. The Dark Knight. While I love the fact that it made a good origin story, which, hey, it did a good origin story and bring out, honestly, one of my favorite Batman villains, Ra's al Ghul. I'm gonna have to give that a B tier. Honestly, it wasn't bad. It's not my favorite, but it wasn't a bad movie, honestly. Dark Knight Returns. A. Heath Ledger's performance as the Joker. Do I need to say anything? Do I need to say anything else? No. Alright. Last up, The Incredibles. Figure I might as well do a little superhero list here. Hold on. I rated these wrong. You know, some of you are like, oh, let's add it. No. I mean, it wasn't. The Dark Knight Returns wasn't a bad movie, but it's certainly not my favorite out of the Batman ones. Out of the Christian Bale Batman movies. I haven't seen the ones from the 80s, the 2010s, and all that. Well, except Dark Knight Returns, but that's a whole another story. The Incredibles. the drama in this, combined with the superhero movie, I have to give it an S tier. That's it. We're done. Woohoo! Alright, so that's it for this video. I'm trying to get this straight. Anyway, don't forget to like. Okay, I gotta pause for the video. Alright, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.